but I do like the 2018 Optic Hollow, and I feel that that is a really good gold standard for Josh Allen.
Extending, and able to find Stephon Diggs.
It's gold. It's gold, baby. Gold is hot. Gold is hot.
Anything where there's a winner or a loser. It's Hurts going for the end zone. It's caught.
And I love the 2004 Topps design right here, man. These 2004 Topps Chrome, that same rookie year as Larry Fitz. I guarantee you someone would reach $130 on this Gabe Davis if he puts up another game in a primetime scenario. We talked about the first Thursday night game against the Rams. Gabe Davis goes off for anything like he did in the AFC Championship game. Are you kidding me? Of course, they're going to reach for this card.
Fires it into wide open. Remarkable. Touchdown, Buffalo.
Right now, his 2018 Optic Hollow is $125 raw compared to Josh Allen's at $500. That's a big difference there, Steve, considering that Lamar Jackson had the season that he did.
Pocket collapsing. He's going to dart. He's going to run inside the 5. Jackson in for the touchdown. Oh, kind of quick by Lamar Jackson.
I know that that's your boy, so I had to share.
Heck yeah, man. The Mississippi mustache, dude. I'm going to be looking for him in like the 20th round of this draft.
Bushu with time, directing traffic. Now fires middle of the field. First down, Jacksonville.
Brady only has like 135 different rookie cards made for him, whereas Patrick Mahomes has close to 2,000.
He throws this ball from his shoestring around the guy. That's unreal.
Look at Tua now climbing up in the past 7 days. His growth in buy it now, sold volume in graded cards on eBay is up 70%.
It's by the New England team. 2 on first and 10 going deep. And one out catch is made by Waddle.
And with Rookie Ticket Auto, there's fewer cards in this set for Joe Burrow.
And now he fires downfield to Jamar Chase. He's got it. Wow. Takes all the way.
It's a first down. We got 1:20 seconds left. Y'all boys gonna play Madden?
It's numbered out of 25. 25 out of 25. It's Gronk doing the Gronk spike signature moves. Look how sick that is.
Got it for the touchdown.
T-minus 1 minute.
More juice for the gyro.
Like the juice.
T-minus 50 seconds.
Now, at the point where we're at, it is a lot easier for new people to get up to speed really quick.
T-minus 40 seconds.
Let's go.
That's a W. That's E1. That's E1. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
T-minus 30 seconds.
Tyreek Hill taking over our camera. I think there may be a penalty for excessive celebration, but you know what? I'm going to let that one slide.
T-minus 20 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. Now y'all have some fun.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Take a deep
4,
breath.
3,
This is it right
2,
here.
1, 0.
All football cards all day, baby. Welcome back to the Football Card Quest, everybody. Whether you're a collector or investor, we've got that football card action here for you. And we've got a little bit of a new format tonight. We're on the preseason week 1 here, just a couple days out from the NFL Hall of Fame preseason week 1 or week 0 game. I've got my main man, Steve the Hitman Caladesi here. Of course, I'm Andy. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Feeling fresh. We got football starting this week. We've been waiting many a months for this, and I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I know the chat's excited. Chat was going well before we went live, and I'm ready to go, man.
Yeah, man. I am ready to go. Yeah, shout out to Halos and the real Noriega, Victor here, 402 Collector in the house. We got Derek. We got Derek in the house. So we're good to go, man. Got Jason Taylor out there. I see Boggy, James Rainwright. Just call you James. Was first in the house there. All right, awesome. So, guys, we got a little bit of a new format tonight. This is going to be a lot of fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to first talk about the Hall of Fame game matchup, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Las Vegas Raiders here this Thursday night. And we're going to each pick our favorite buy low investment candidate from that game. We're going to talk about why we think they're a great buy low investment candidate, and then look at some live eBay auctions that are ending maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. We've each picked out a handful of auctions we want to look at. Plus, if you guys are out there in the chat, we absolutely want to encourage you to drop any live auctions that you may want us to pull up. I'll be trying to pay attention to the chat as we go through this and star any of those and pull them up. And then we're going to go through each division, Steve, and we're going to pick our favorite buy low investment players. And I'm already looking at the list. It's a variety of quarterbacks and skill position players. So I'm very excited. We're going to share analysis around why we think they're buy low right now heading into the season. And then we're going to look at some live auctions, some live listings that are totally actionable. And so ourselves included. But so Steve, are you ready to dig into this, man? Because we got a lot of ground to cover, plus some NFL news. I mean, there's been some big news dropping this week that are definitely going to affect some of these guys we talked about tonight.
Yeah, and we don't like to root for anyone to be hurt or suspended or anything like that. But these things do happen, and they create not only playing opportunities for other players, they provide investment opportunities for new players that you might not have considered before. And we're going to take a look at some of those guys today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So first up, Mark Spells, what's going on? Shant, what's good, man? What's good? Let's do this. All right. So first up, we got the Hall of Fame game, the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's pretty low Vegas over-under. I saw an announcement this morning from Doug Peterson that Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne are not going to be playing. And I know Travis Etienne has got some kind of illness right now. He's had an incredible camp. But Trevor Lawrence, surely going into his second year with new coaching, a lot of young, new weapons around him, you'd think that he would be playing, Steve, but he's not. So it'll be interesting to see what the Raiders do. Is Derek Carr going to be out there with Devontae Adams and Waller and Renfro and that whole gang? So, I don't necessarily know what we're going to see this Thursday night in that Hall of Fame preseason game. I know we're all dying to get some live football action going. Like, it'll be fun. I'll be watching it. That's part of the reason why we moved this live stream to Tuesday night for now and for the foreseeable future, is to plan for Thursday night action. Also, we're fresher, we're more prepared, we're ready to rock and roll a little bit better, I think, on Tuesday. So we're excited to deliver a little bit higher level of content to you guys. And like in the season, it'll be better for forecasting the upcoming matchups, getting you an early look, giving you time before the Thursday night game and the Sunday matchups. But Steve, looking at this matchup Thursday night, just thinking from a season long perspective here, who's your favorite player to buy low, invest in from these teams?
I'm going to go with Derek Carr from this matchup. And it's not that he hasn't already seen a lot of gains, but I still think that what numbers he's capable of putting up, his values haven't quite matched his production. Now, he hasn't been going off for a ton of TDs the past couple of years, But I think we might actually see that go up quite a bit this year with a healthy Darren Waller, Devontae Adams. I could see them using Jacobs. Jacobs they use as a receiver already quite a bit, but using him more in the red zone as a receiver. I just think that as a whole, he's going to dominate quite a bit more this year with a true alpha and allow Renfro to just keep doing Renfro things.
Yeah, Renfro was absolutely incredible last year. A touchdown magnet. It's interesting that Derek Carr, he's super competitive, man. I don't know if you watched this little interview right here, but they were asking him about setting expectations and why living up to expectations set for the team, because they did bring in Devontae Adams, and he was telling the reporter to pump his brakes and stuff. He's getting chippy, and so that was good to see. But yeah, man, I look at the Raiders schedule, right? I mean, Devontae Adams and Derek Carr had that connection going back to Fresno State, where they were prolific, man. Over 1,000 receiving yards in college together. You can already see them lighting it up in camp. Look at that opening schedule this season. I mean, we're talking shootout after shootout here, Steve, and their defensive secondary has been one weakness that has plagued them. So that's going to force Derek Carr to throw the ball even more, Steve. And last year, to your point, he was on track. Like through the first 3 weeks when they were 3-0, he was on track. He was a front runner for MVP consideration. And now they get the Chargers in week 1, Arizona in week 2, Tennessee in week 3, Denver in week 4, Kansas City in week 5. Like that's 5 shootout games in a row there, if you ask me. And so, yeah, I mean, let's see what you got here.
Yeah, here's a card you don't really see a lot of, not only because it's numbered out of 75, but prior to last season, there wasn't a ton of hype around Carr, so people were not really, you didn't see a ton of listings for him. But now people realize there's a lot of value here, and not only is there a lot of value here, that is a near flawless card, 3 10s. You don't see a lot of pristine slabs from Beckett. That's why the price is as high as it is. But that's also the kind of card that could see, $3-4 grand if they make a long playoff run or a Super Bowl run. So that's the one to watch. Even the regular refractor autos would be nice, non-numbered. But I just wanted to throw something a little spicy up there, for people to get an idea of what's available for him. It's a little bit of a different card era when you had Topps in the game and not just Panini. So the Topps Chromes are phenomenal. You can find the Topps Finest for just a hair less, in some cases quite a bit less. But yeah, I'd be looking at those, and the Prism. Even the base Prisms have gone up quite a bit. So
yeah, I'm looking at an increasing chart right here for Carr. So let's pull up his Prism facing right, which there's multiple photo variations of his Prism. This one has a pop of 351, whereas if we looked at the one where he's pointing, there's another. Yeah, there it is right there. That's a short print, parallel of the short print photo variation. So that would be technically SP on SP. Here's the short print Prism. You can see there's very few sales on it. This
Look
one
at
is
that percent change. It's beautiful.
Yeah. 52-week low, $78, and now the trend is $200, an average of $139. 52-week high, $200 on the short print. You can see it's definitely jumped up. That's a direct result of Devontae Adams and pop 22 on that PSA 10. So if we go back up and look at the base PSA 10 base photo variations, a pop of 351. So massive difference there in print run and also PSA 10 population. Let's look at the 1-year chart though. Overall, you can see that spike in the beginning of last season, Steve, around $350, $304, $330 for this card. And we're not anywhere near back that yet. So we can absolutely see, if we go back to their schedule, if they do beat the Chargers week 1, this is a massive statement game right here, right off the bat. I think week 1 is absolutely loaded with incredibly intense shootouts, right? Starting off with the Bills and the Rams, but then here at the Chargers. That's a divisional matchup. That's going to be so many people watching. It's also a 425 game. We have less teams going. So right there, like if they do pull off a win against their division rivals, a team that has one of the most stacked rosters in the NFL this year with one of the most aggressive coaching staffs, then then that's going to be really good for Derek Carr. We could see an immediate jump in demand, which in turn leads to a jump in value for these cards, and for them to get back to that $300 price point where they're at. I could very well see that. So I like to play, sir.
Yeah, and then it's important to remember too that you look at these pops and these just weren't printed nearly as much as a lot of the modern stuff is. So keep that in mind. When you see like a 250 or 51, or even the other one that was 20, right? That's unbelievably low. Like a low pop for modern is like $2,000, 2,000 and up. So these are really low pops. So I mean, if he were to make a long playoff run, imagine the Raiders winning the Super Bowl, you'd see values for his cards unprecedented, and just having Devontae Adams throwing to, he could have his career best year.
Absolutely. I mean, Devontae Adams is a difference maker, no doubt about that. I mean, there's nobody that gets open at a higher rate than Devontae Adams, arguably. I mean, you could put Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, you put those guys up there with Devontae, but he's one of the best, if not the best. So it's a big year for him. Can he carry over? Because a lot of people say Derek Carr is a talent downgrade from Aaron Rodgers. You can't make some of the same back shoulder fades, this and that as Aaron Rodgers. But Derek Carr has that connection with Devontae Adams going back to Fresno State. And Devontae Adams left Green Bay. They were willing to match his offer, but he wanted to go to Vegas to play with his former college quarterback. He likes Carr better. So I like the kind of the attitude. I feel like Carr probably has a better respect in the locker room in terms of, I just like his competitive attitude, but he also seems to get down in the trenches with the guys. Kind of, maybe he's more relatable. I've heard a lot of reports of Aaron Rodgers being arrogant a lot of times. Now he's older. Now he's probably definitely come down back to earth a lot, and I'm sure it seems like it anyway. So. But I'm excited to see what Devontae can do with Derek Carr this year.
That, and it's still a guy that people are not completely sold on. So that always presents buying opportunities. When you run the name Derek Carr past a lot of people, he's not a household name yet. And when that happens, you don't want to be the guy that's still trying to get a couple of his rookie cards.
No, that's the thing. If Derek Carr goes off, connects with Adams, Renfro, Waller, the weapons they have there are pretty incredible. So if he goes off week 1 and they beat the Chargers, at that point, it's probably going to be too late because it's 2014 rookie product. That's going to jump up pretty quick because of the inherent scarcity. There's a lot of these cards out there stashed in collections. You go look at Vegas Dave's Derek Carr collection, for example. So these could quickly dwindle in supply. Therefore, the resale value could jump up pretty quick. And if you're buying at that point after watching that game, that victory is probably too late. Like that's probably the time you should sell, especially at the beginning of the season. So that's why we think there's a lot of implications, potential flip opportunities here out of the gate. Because they're also a dark horse, right? Down the stretch, potentially grab a wild card spot. I mean, I'm not predicting them to win that division. You may be, Steve, but I still think there's potential there. That's going to be a high octane, prolific offense. The D line is also good, so they can put enough pressure and help out their CBs. Maybe they can definitely get themselves some wins, enough wins to get into the playoffs, and so then that presents another flipping opportunity for Derek Carr down the stretch.
I think one more thing I want to mention too. I mean, when's the last time the Raiders were actually good, right? Like when's the last time someone was like, oh man, we're playing the Raiders, that was a defense you were just going to roast every week. You knew that was like a mediocre offense, but now the Raiders are good on both sides of the ball. And something interesting to think about is when we talk about fan base and we talk about Oakland has a huge fan base, and now they're in Vegas. They have like essentially 2 fan bases, right? Because you still have the Oakland crew that's going to support them, most of them, and now you have people in Vegas.
Yeah. 3 minutes left. I like it. Brady coming in here with the snipe. Allen Robinson, 2014 Topps Chrome Mini Rookie Red Refract. Dude, he may or may not be a guy that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So hang in there, man. Look at that. Guess what? I've got an A-Rob tab open. So that's all I can say right now.
Out of 5, Andy. Oh, man.
I know. So there you go.
And real quick, I want to say shout out to Carter, and you're welcome. I did see your chat earlier.
Nice. Awesome. So my favorite player right now to flip from this matchup is actually on the Jag side. A guy I think we could see this Thursday night is Zay Jones. I'm very impressed by what this guy has to offer. He's 6'2", 201 pounds, 70th percentile wingspan, runs a 4.45 40-yard dash. He's well above average athleticism in all categories, absolutely dominated in college, but at a small school, East Carolina. But this led him to ultimately being drafted in the early second round by the Bills in 2017. He played through his rookie season with a torn labrum and did not get much activity. He was also behind the depth chart behind Kelvin Benjamin with below average quarterback play. Then they bring in Josh Allen. In Josh Allen's rookie year, the Bills had a low pass volume offense, which led to him being wide receiver 48 in 2019. The Bills decided to pivot. They signed veterans John Brown, Cole Beasley. That left Zay Jones with just 46 targets on the season. And then in November 2019, they traded Zay Jones to the Raiders for a 5th-round pick. The Raiders got a deal, although Zay Jones only saw 20 targets in 2020. That's because he was behind Darren Waller, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Renfrow, and first-round draft pick Henry Ruggs. So he didn't get playing time in 2020 either, like very few targets. In fact, he only saw 20 targets in 2020. And then they re-signed him anyways. Why? Because he's a good athlete, Steve. So after signing him in 2020, he still had less than a 27% snap share until Henry Ruggs had to go and commit a horrendous crime. They released Henry Ruggs. Someone had to step up across from Renfrow. At the time, it was Brian Edwards, who had been starting out but only seen about 10% target share. Well, that's where Zay Jones entered, because after running 2 routes with an 18% snap share in week 7, Zay Jones ran 42 routes with a 96% snap share in week 9. He saw more than 80% of the team's snaps and earned 62 targets over the team's final 6 games. In fact, in their opening round playoff loss to Cincinnati, Zay Jones led all Las Vegas wide receivers with 5 catches for 61 yards and a score. Jones took advantage of his second half surge and used it to secure the bag with Jacksonville. They secured him with a $24 million deal that is $14 million guaranteed. And so now he is projected to be their main X receiver on the outside across from Marvin Jones, who's like 32 now, and Christian Kirk in the slot. So in 3 wide receiver sets, Zay Jones is going to be on the field, and Trevor Lawrence has been lighting him up all training camp. And we expect him to be heavily involved in the Jaguars offense moving forward.
I like it. And I'll be honest, I don't own a ton of Zay Jones, but after I saw the contract that they gave him and after the trade, I did actually pick up a few of his cards simply because Trevor Lawrence doesn't have a connection with anyone, right? So he was throwing his hat in the conversation to be one of the guys or to be the guy on that team. And there's not really a guy that stands out. Kirk is probably like the favorite, right? But, in a team with a weak defense like that, you're going to be throwing a lot. So 2-3 guys can make a big difference. And he easily fits into the top 2, probably top 3 conversation there.
Dude, and he's so cheap right now. He's one of the few very good athletes in the league that essentially it could create a lot of FOMO because he's a star, man. This guy's got a big stature, like we talked about, 6'2", 4.4 speed, right? X-style receiver. So he's absolutely a guy. Week 1, they're playing the Commanders. So I expect we're not going to, maybe we see him this Thursday. We're not going to see Trevor, so it's not really a big deal. But throughout the training camp process, he's already elevated his fantasy draft stock. I think we're going to start to see him elevate demand and rookie cards, but he is just so cheap. He comes from also that iconic rookie year of 2017. So you get those beautiful rated rookies, the optics, the prisms that come base as silver. Look at how cheap they're going for, $2. This guy has very few graded cards, so I can't really show you any historic charts, but just know that he is at the bottom of the bottom when it comes to entry-level price. So that gives you just a tremendous amount of upside, Steve, when you can get an immaculate 4 or 5, what is this, 3-color patch immaculate numbered out of 49 for $6 freaking dollars?
That's, man,
you know,
that's the deal. See, when I talk about big multipliers, that's the kind of card that will always be worth at least $6, but it could be worth 80, 100, maybe more. I mean, depends on how good he becomes in this offense, but that's a beautiful card, and that's a heck of a pickup.
Shout out to Chris here, man. Appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much, brother. That's awesome. His comment from Chris: "What's up, guys? Waddle is killing it in camp. Coach Mike McDaniel said I would make sure I had him on my fantasy team." Awesome show, guys. Keep up the great work. Go Dolphins. So we definitely have a Dolphins lover, a Tua lover in the house. Part of that AFC East division. So AFC East, right? Yeah. Steve, help me out here, man.
I thought it was the South, but it could be the East.
No. I know they're not in the South. I get them. Yeah. I'm right. I got an AFC East. I got to stick with my initial gut reaction here. But yeah, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets. So yeah, no. I got it right. But appreciate that super chat, Chris. We will be touching on the AFC East division here in just a few minutes. So Steve, now let's transition. Now that we talked about the Hall of Fame game here, let's transition. I want to get your take. The first division up in terms of let's go to the NFC North, because that's your hometown division. You're a Chicago Bears fan. You live there in Chicago. Who's your favorite buy low player right now in the NFC North?
Well, we talked a bit about this guy last week, and I feel like he doesn't get talked about enough, and we are going with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. All right, man. I love the quarterback theme here. You know the quarterbacks drive the market. So what you got for me here on Kirk Cousins? I got some highlights pulled up for him from training camp.
There's just so many good things to say. I mean, outside of the fact that it's a small market, the guy's just been amazing for fantasy purposes, for production purposes. He's had to play through some awful coaching, as having family members who are top tier Vikings fans. They can tell you that these coaches have been awful, make awful decisions, never really have been offensive minded. Now they have an offensive minded coach, and they will be an offensive scheme type team. So no matter how bad the defense is, Kirk Cousins is going to ball out. And you've got guys like Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, Dalvin Cook, KJ Osborne, to name a few. And they've got depth behind that and young players. So this is a guy that could have his career best season, just like Derek Carr this year.
Most games with 100 plus QB rating over the past 5 seasons: Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. And I know there's some Kirk Cousins haters out there because he's infamous or notorious for losing Monday night, Thursday night football, primetime scenario games, and playoffs. He hasn't made a playoff run yet, Steve. So that's like another big knock on him. But this could be his year with a new head coach in Kevin O'Connell from the Los Angeles Rams. So that's exciting, man. He should help them play faster, throw the ball more. He's got tremendous weapons, like you alluded to. Talk me through the schedule here. I'm looking at the schedule. This is going to be pretty electric as well. We're talking shootout week 1, division rivals Green Bay Packers week freaking 1 here, Steve, at 4:25 p.m. So it's just like another massive divisional shootout at home, though. At home for the Vikes. They get past the Packers. Tell me about his rookie cards.
You know, there's some great rookie cards. I sent you that one there, which is Panini Limited. You know, Panini took over, well, not fully took over, but Panini got involved around that same time. There's a lot of really good, unique sets that aren't around anymore. I really like his Topps Finest stuff. And like I said, Topps Finest doesn't always carry the highest value compared to Chrome. But you can find a wide range of his rookie card prices from like base tops, you know, in the, you know, autograph, maybe in like $50 range or below, up to the rookie ticket autos, which I sent you one there. Now that's a heck of a deal. That's a 9 for under 200. Now there is a 10 floating around out there, pristine, that's on eBay right now, and that one's quite a bit more. Oh boy, we may need some moderation in the chat.
Wild.
But anyway, back to the Cousins. Definitely. I mean, that's a nice value when you think about the scarcity of the card. These weren't as heavily produced as the modern cards are. And not to mention that, but if you look at modern rookie ticket autos, guys that are not established don't have the pedigree that Kirk Cousins has. Their cards are selling for around the same price. So I think this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't have to pull up too many charts to tell you that Kirk Cousins is undervalued, but there's definitely polarizing opinions on him. It's kind of, you know, just like there is on a variety of other quarterbacks that I will not mention their name right now because we don't want to divulge into those debates. But if we just look over here at some Kirk Cousins charts, like you mentioned, the 2012 product, I think it's interesting to look at Kirk Cousins stuff that has some Vikings relevance to it. So, Steve, do you feel that 2018, the first year Kirk Cousins was at the Vikings uniform, I think a better part of his career has been spent with the Vikings, especially this is now going into what could be, like you're saying, a career year for him. I mean, the guy threw for over 4,000 yards last year, over 4,000 yards in 2020. This year with a new head coach, playing faster, throwing the ball even more. I mean, he could have over 600 pass attempts and convert that into roughly 5,000 passing yards. I mean, if they win a bunch of games, he could be right there in the MVP consideration. There could be a big appreciation. Do you think that the 2018 cards would appreciate more, or would it still be his rookie product because it is just rookie product and that's more liquid in the hobby? I'd love to get your opinion on that.
I mean, I think that the actual rookie cards are always going to see the greatest sustain and the greatest spikes. But, you know, if he brings home a championship to Minnesota, I think that he would be forever entrenched in, you know, in their eyes as a hero in Minnesota. Because like you said, there are polarizing opinions on the guy. Not sure why, in my opinion. I know that some people don't really like him. But I think that the guy with the right coaching and the right opportunity is going to surprise a lot of people. And the word on the street is that they're going to let him throw a lot. And that's what I've been kind of waiting for. He's been super efficient, but he just doesn't throw as often as some of the other elite quarterbacks do. And given a few more passing opportunities, I think that he could be, dare I say, a top 5 fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think that's what we'll need. But and you talked about people having those negative opinions about him. Sean being one of them. There's nothing wrong with that. But it comes down to winning. It comes down to purely winning. And we know that winning is a big factor in the hobby, unlike just fantasy, like just being a fantasy baller. If you're not winning, your cards are probably still going to dip in that midseason lull period when everybody else is being talked about as a front runner for the playoffs, front runner for the MVP. That's kind of where the hype is going. And it won't be until after the season we get into that draft period, the free agency period, that we start getting excited about him again. But at this point, you know, entering his 10th year in the league, we're really looking for him to win. Like, that's my opinion. We're really looking for him to win games, to get out there and make a playoff run, to see like a big appreciation and winning games. Like, start off by beating the Packers in week 1, transition that. You can absolutely get out there, potentially beat Philadelphia, which is going to be a big challenge because you look how good their secondary is. Their secondary with Bradbury and Darius Slay. I mean, they're elite, man. There's that secondary of Philadelphia is elite. Jalen Hurts struggling with them in camp right now. So that's going to be a tough matchup. And that's also a primetime game, right? So if Kirk Cousins can conquer his demons with the new head coach and they go 2-0 against Green Bay and Philadelphia, watch out. I guarantee you there would be absolutely some type of price spike, demand spike, and supply is limited on 2012 product. There's absolutely an opportunity to get raw Kirk Cousins cards and grade them. I mean, heck, look at the population on the PSA 10 of his base Prism, 31. I mean, if we were to look at a Russell Wilson, we're not just comparing the obviously Russell Wilson is probably a future Hall of Famer, and Kirk Cousins is far from it at this point. But let's just look at the pop count on the PSA 10 of Russ. That's 567. So insane difference there. But I digress. I think that's a really good pick from the NFC North, man. I like it. The Vikings are on the up and up this year.
Andy, could you pull up his Topps Finest refractor real quick? Because I want to give people a couple different options here, you know, because I realize not everyone's at the same investment level in the hobby, and the refractor and the X-Fractor are very affordable, and that's numbered out of 50, but just the base refractor there you go. Look at on ComC right there, Prism refractor. That's even a little more rare. I mean, $5. I mean, seriously, how do you beat that? And that's a beautiful card. You know, so you don't have to be dumping $50, $100, $200 or more to make a good investment on a card. There's going to be a multiplier. If he goes off, there's still going to be a multiplier.
All right, we got to a quick touch in with the chat here. We're forced to recognize Derek Richard. You know, we encourage you to keep your eyes on the road, but. Yeah, his Derek Richards kind of bring back Kim. She looked all right. Sorry, Kim had to leave, went to some other channel. And let's see what we got here from James. James, 2 minutes left. 2021 Donruss Optic Michael Carter Rookie Kings case hit. I'm a fan of these Rookie Kings case hits from 2021 Optic. I think they look pretty cool. So definitely a fan of those. All right, we're going to move on here to the next division, let me see what I got here. Move on to the next division. Oh, baby, we're going to talk about the NFC West, and it's my turn to pick my favorite player from the NFC West. Now we're talking about the Rams, the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. And I just cannot get off investing in this guy because he's not only a veteran, and he's put up insane numbers going back to college, went to Penn State. All right. He went to Penn State, was an absolute stud, put up over 1,400 receiving yards in his senior year, struggled with poor quarterback play throughout the first 5 years of his NFL career. Actually, he's going into his 8th year now. So throughout his first 7 years of his NFL career, now he gets the best quarterback of his career. We're talking about none other than Allen Robinson on the Los Angeles Rams. Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp went to Sean McVay in the offseason and pounded the table to pick up Allen Robinson. So we're super pumped about this connection. The Rams also just lost Van Jefferson today to an injury. That only was today or yesterday in training camp. Van is going to miss some significant time. He's having knee surgery, which I don't know if it's going to be super significant. It wasn't major. Actually, the return timeline was what, only a few weeks? Like he'd be back.
Yeah, they said about 4 weeks max.
3-4 weeks max. So they lacked a true red zone weapon. Obviously, I mean Odell Beckham tore his ACL in the Super Bowl. He's out. You're down to Cooper Kupp. They traded Robert Woods to the Tennessee Titans. Let him walk to Tennessee Titans. They bring in Allen Robinson. So super pumped about Allen Robinson because he's 6'2", 220-pound wide receiver running a 4.56 40 time. The guy still has elite athleticism. Look at this contested catch he's making here in training camp with the Los Angeles Rams. Massive market, reigning Super Bowl champs. I mean, the guy had 1,400 yards in his second year in the league with like Blake Bortles, I think, in Jacksonville. Goes to Chicago, struggles there with subpar quarterback play. Variety of things. There are several reasons for the subpar quarterback play between the variety of quarterbacks. Last year was an absolute nightmare for Allen Robinson between revolving door at quarterback, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields. I'm sure I'm missing another one in there, but rookie quarterback, poor offensive line. Steve, you know that. Shift to a run-first offense to better acclimate to Justin Fields, and injuries to Allen Robinson. He only played 12 games for 38 receptions. Now, though, he's only 28 years old, massive market, reigning Super Bowl champ. All right, this is going to be a monster bounce-back year for Allen Robinson. We also look at the matchups here. Buffalo, Thursday night game, week 1. Buffalo, one of the better defenses in the league. Cooper Kupp is not he's not a big guy that's physically imposing. He wins by getting open, winning. He excels as a route runner and then generating yards after the catch because he is explosive and he is shifty. Allen Robinson can win inside, outside, line him up wherever. He's big, he's explosive. His market is also kind of down. I mean, rookie ticket autos, these are PSA 10s, and you could see where last time this purchase was sell because there's not a whole lot of graded ones. This card sold for $174.99 when that news popped off about him going to the Rams. So you can see the spike there. Before that, though, we have transactions going back to February for $125. I tried to find more sales charts on his cards, but there's not a whole lot out there. There's not a whole lot of graded cards. There's the rookie ink. I have one of these of Mike Evans that I paid for close to that amount for. That's a PSA 10 though for $90. I paid a raw for close to that for a Mike Evans. So if you compare him to the other 2014 rookies, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, okay, maybe he's not that good. Compare him to Jarvis Landry. Compare him to Sammy Watkins, Brandon Cooks. Allen Robinson is absolutely going to feast in a high-octane, high-passing team this year with the Rams. Buffalo, Atlanta. Atlanta should be an easy matchup, positive game script. But Arizona, San Francisco, Dallas, Carolina, San Francisco again. Like, let's go, right?
Yeah, the one thing that kind of irks me, and I can't say because I wasn't in his shoes, but naturally being a Bears fan, if you watched him play last year, he kind of quit, right? And it's hard to say if you could really blame him or not, but it was pretty rough to see him kind of not trying on routes. I'm not saying that's going to happen this year. In fact, I think the opposite will happen. I think that he knew that the team wasn't going anywhere, and I don't support that kind of team mentality or selfish mentality, if you will, in this sense. But I think in that offense that did great without him, you could only imagine how good they'll be with him. This is a guy that's been to the Pro Bowl with some absolutely terrible quarterbacks. So who knows what kind of season he could have. And if Van Jones is forced to miss any additional time, that's only going to, supplant him in Stafford's eyes that much higher.
Very, very true, man. Very true. I think he's going to feast, man. I think we're looking at monster bounce back year, 1,000 plus receiving yards, double-digit touchdowns. I'm currently looking for any. I mean, it's hard to find good cards for Allen Robinson in auction. Just put it that way, because he has so few cards out there, especially in the hands of people that are sending a lot of cards to auction. Because most people that are sending a lot of cards to auction are a lot of newer cards, but if we look at buy it now stuff, even just looking at some of this more rare stuff, I mean, I'm seeing stuff that is very favorably priced. BGS 9.5 autograph 10. Got the OBO on here, so I'd absolutely like to come in and try and try and swipe some of these, at a significant discount. But I'm really looking for a guy skill position like this. Here we go. Like rookie ticket auto for $39.99 were best offer when Evans, Devontae, Odell, all those guys are 100 plus. I think you can come in here, maybe swipe this one for 30, 35. That's a fantastic price point on a rookie ticket auto, in my opinion.
I think that I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I don't know that he's necessarily going to come in there and go crazy in the yardage aspect as much as he will, I think, in that Odell Beckham type role. I think they'll use him a lot in the red zone more than they will to move the chains down the field. But I could be wrong. I still think Cooper Kupp's going to be the focal point. But I could see him getting definitely double-digit touchdowns for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, Steve, you're up next. NFC East. NFC East, brother. Who you got? Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Giants, and the Washington Commanders. Who you got, Steve?
Yeah, we've covered a lot of guys over the past few weeks from this division, but I got to go back to what I was saying for the last several months, and that is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, who, before a series of injuries, looked like he was going to throw for 50 touchdowns a couple seasons ago. And, he's got two good, healthy running backs this year. Yeah, his receivers are a bit banged up, but he's got great receivers still, so that's nothing to worry about. I think that offense is high octane, and I think that he's still going to have a great season. No one's trying to say he's a top 3 QB in the league, but he doesn't have to be. His optic rookies that we talked about before the show, I've seen him going between $20 and $25, like well-centered, right, in good condition, which makes no sense to me because, last year when he had a mediocre season, they were still going between $45 and $50. They're half of what they were last year, right? So I think maybe there's people that have really low expectations for him. They shouldn't be that low. They should be like 3 times what they are right now.
Yeah, and the Dallas Cowboys do have the largest fan base, according to social media trackers, in the entire NFL. They've been touted as America's team since 1979, and they do have a very shootout-friendly schedule. They play the Buccaneers Week 1 Sunday Night Football. Steve, are you predicting that they beat the Bucs Week 1 on Sunday night against in Tampa?
I'm not predicting that, but what I am predicting is a really nice shootout. And, with it being just 1 week, I don't think a lot of people are going to throw the towel in on Dak or the Cowboys. But even if they lose and he throws for 400 yards or something crazy like that, I think that people will just be really, really hyped to see what he does against, a much weaker team.
I misspoke. It's in Dallas. The game's in Dallas.
Okay.
They're in Dallas. They're at home Week 1 and 2, but I mean, very tough matchups. Tampa, then Cincinnati in Week 2. So
I think he'll throw for like 375 or plus against Cincy, honestly. Eli Apple is just waiting to get toasted.
So, So, and there's a potential that Jesse Bates would no longer be on. There's a potential that Jesse Bates gets traded here before Week 1. So if we look at the chart, the 1-year chart, I do see that his cards are down significantly from the peak of 52-week high of $995 on the base Prism PSA 10. It's also important to note that from his rookie year, these base Prisms are also silver. This card is currently at 431, so it's about down half of what it was at his peak. So that I find very interesting. I think you gave me a specific auction to watch here. Check this out.
Yeah, buddy, look at that. I'll tell you what, if anyone owns any of these optics from 2016, you think the 2021 Prisms are bad with their centering. These optics are real bad, especially the hollows are just awful. I mean, 150 for that 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for 3 times that. I don't think it will. It probably will get close, but that's a really nice card, and there's not a whole lot of those. What do you got for a pop count on that, Andy?
Yeah, so let's check out a pop count on this. Let me see what I got for Dak. It is important to note that James Washington, thanks to Clay here. Shout out to Clint. James Washington did fracture his foot. This was just yesterday or today. He is going to be out for 2 months. So in your projections, your depth chart rankings, I am moving up Jalen Tolbert now as the clear number 2 wide receiver behind CeeDee Lamb. Ultimately, this could be better for CD, Dalton Schultz. I think Jalen Tolbert is a very sneaky rookie, 2022 rookie with upside. Also, Simi Fehoko is making some noise in training camp the past couple of days. So if you're looking to stack Dak Prescott, I absolutely encourage stacking your quarterback that you invest in with their wide receivers, because if the quarterback's going to go off, then the wide receiver is going to go off. I think you showed me the purple prism, right? Is this a purple prism? Yeah.
Yeah, the purple optic.
Pop 134.
It's funny that you mentioned Simi. Like, if you're looking through a lot of auctions, you're seeing a lot of that guy's cards. And here's the thing: is there's not outside of Dallas, there's really not a lot of people buying into that guy. So it's like there's tons of room to grow. That's the kind of guy that goes off on the multiplier should he catch fire, because there's not people looking for his auctions yet.
Yeah, and they could draft Will Fuller. Yeah, he's one of the best free agents still out there. Obviously, though, he's notoriously hurt a lot or taking PEDs or something, doing some kind of knucklehead stuff. But, Jerry Jones made a statement today that he has no desire in a veteran wide receiver. They have faith. I think you got to move up Simi Fehoko and Jalen Tolbert, and then they'll get Michael Gallup. He's ahead of his recovery timeline, just like Chris Godwin. They're probably going to get him back sometime in late October, I'm guessing, and then he'll be back in the fold as well. So I think you're also going to see a lot of Zeke. You're going to see a lot of Zeke. I think maybe Tony Pollard gets more receptions this way. Maybe you see Tony Pollard put more in the slot as they give Zeke still over 200 carries because they're paying him an arm and a leg to be their star running back. So I do not see Dak rushing as much as years past. We saw a significant decline in his rushing last year over the year prior because of that horrific ankle injury. So he's transitioned more to a pocket passer. Maybe he gets back to rushing a little bit more this year, but he still has a 5,000 passing yard season in his range of outcomes. So that's there. Plus their biggest market. Plus they could snag a wild card spot. The Eagles are going to be a formidable opponent this year, Steve. A lot of people in the chat are saying Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown combination, plus that elite Eagles defense they now got. I'm surprised you didn't pick someone on the Eagles, but maybe, just maybe, next week when we do this, I'll pick somebody on the Eagles.
And I think that the only reason I didn't is we've covered the Eagles quite a bit lately, and as you've seen, and as if anyone that's been watching has seen, the Jalen Hurts cards have skyrocketed, over the past couple months, from really no one having any interest in buying his stuff to everyone trying to buy his stuff. So I think that that's important to note. Whereas Dak has been kind of like people are just kind of putting the feelers out on Dak. So now's the time to get in on that. Whereas Hurts, you're going to potentially pay a premium for Hurts right now, but there's definitely still room to grow with the right deals. But yeah, I think Dak's the guy that you got to watch as far as an investment. There is expensive Dak cards. He's a quarterback. He's on Dallas, but there's cards of his like the optic base and hollow that are undervalued that you can get in now. And let's see what they do. If they make a run or something like that, he'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, yes, sir. So we're going to transition now to the AFC North. Before we do, real quick, though, I want to talk about this question here in the chat. We're going to touch on this question. Shout out to Ken Payan. I think Ken's new here, so everybody say what's up to Ken. Appreciate you. Welcome to the quest, Ken. Wildcard Illumination is an unlicensed product. So I'm going to pull it up here on the screen. We could talk about it for a second. I do think it offers some interesting upside on college athletes, especially guys like Kayshon Boutte or maybe Jackson Njigba. Derek, help me out with how you say the rest of his name. But CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, some of these stars in college that are maybe not coming out in the draft until next year. But I would, if you're investing in this player, I would look at guys, or in this set, I should say, I would look at guys that are not coming out this year. And if they are, absolutely want to target something that is very scarce in terms of low serial number and or autograph, because these cards are not licensed. They don't have actual team logos. They don't have team names on them. They're licensed directly to the player, and they're just not going to have nearly as much demand as even a Leaf product, which is a nicer card stock. They have a reputable brand. So the Leaf is going to be more demanded. And then you have 2022 Chronicles that is out, draft picks that have these guys in licensed cards with pro designs and team logos and stuff like that. And then pretty soon you're going to have Prism draft picks out, and you're going to have Gold Standard and then Base Donruss, and they've got select draft picks this year. All of these sets are going to take away from this set. So unless it's something very rare, then I would kind of stay away. Like even this Sam Howell here, that's 1 out of 1 rookie weekend warrior. It's without an autograph. I'm hesitant. Steve.
I think, this falls into that whole niche of, do you like college uniform cards? Are you buying it to just collect, right? Because, as we've seen, there's not as high of a resale value on the college uniform product, especially unlicensed. If you're buying it for the purpose of collecting, if you enjoy that player, if you enjoy that college, if you enjoy the look of the card, absolutely. I don't see any reason why not. Me personally, I'm not too keen on college, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of quality Illinois college football teams, so it's not really my thing. Not like with Florida, where you have like UCF, the Gators, FSU, et cetera, et cetera. So college ain't for me, but I think that ETN card looks pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah, this ETN card does. And see, this is the kind of stuff that I would personally be targeting, even in Bowman U, because Bowman U, I think they kind of did that set dirty. That was Topps first, play back into the football card market since, losing the licensing and then being acquired by Fanatics. They do have the NFLPA license, so they can license directly to players. And that's what they did with Bowman U, but they left a lot of the top guys from this draft class out of that set, man. It's ridiculous. So they left top guys out. They also printed multiple photo variations. They also printed a base paper variation, then a base chrome variation, and then the Bowman U chrome refractor. So if you're targeting Bowman U, definitely want to stick with cards that are serial numbered, the short print case hit inserts like the Big Kahuna, that kind of stuff. And look at the autograph cards. The autographed is an asset on the cards that will maintain the value of that card. It's going to help maintain the value. But certainly if you're buying those cards, like I'm trying to flip those pretty quickly, because I know that there's pro uniform product coming out and more licensed college uniform product coming out that's just going to kind of take away from the desirability of that. I don't think it did nearly as well as what people had hoped for. There are definitely, I think, a percentage of baseball collectors out there that like that Bowman First logo that kind of carried over a little bit, but I don't really think it caught on like a lot of people were hoping, because I think they kind of diluted it. I think they printed too much of it, too much variation of it. I think they should have kept it all Bowman U chrome, all with the first Bowman First on it. If they would have kept it with more scarcity, just in stock format, I think that would have been better for it. Like more of like a Leaf product, where it's a hobby box of 12 cards and 10 of those are autographs. I think they really should have focused on quality over quantity. And it's like their first step out of the gate was like, no, let's go for what Panini's been doing, with Prism or Mosaic. It's like, no, man, it's your first step back into the game after several years off. Come on,
the whole thing with the Bowman Chrome, like you said, the correlation with how they do it with baseball, like I like that, but the premise of it being a good product is there's a large player base, and you hope to get the Chrome variations and serial numbered and auto versions of the right prospects, right? But when you don't have the entire player pool, that defeats the purpose of the Bowman U product, right? So, for example, I like Alec Pierce. He's a hometown guy. I think he's going to be good in the league. I'm interested in getting some of his cards when the pro uniform cards come out. I was looking for a Bowman U of his and was disappointed when there wasn't one, right? So that's just the whole thing. Now, there are some great ones, and I do agree that those cards look fantastic. So it does come down. I think Bowman U is kind of like an in-between product right now. It could be great, but as of right now, it's still kind of like an in-between product where it wants to be mainstream, but they kind of fell a little short.
Yeah. All right. So, oh, sweet, man. We got Jets Crazy in the house. Good to see you out there, Matt. Shout out to Tricky Best Sports Cards. I think this is the first time I've seen Tricky Best Sports Cards in the house. So welcome to the quest, bro. Welcome. Glad to have you here. All right, so let's move on to the AFC North. And this is my pick, guys, AFC North. I'm going to be talking about a super sleeper. You guys have heard us talking about Lamar Jackson. We know he's a third of Josh Allen right now. All right, I know that I'm going to invoke a little bit of debate here, but we can all agree that this guy's an absolutely electric player, and he's a super sleeper that I think is going to continue to ascend on the depth chart. I also think the Ravens are going to throw the ball more this year, and I'm talking about this dude right here catching this play. Top training camp plays from the Baltimore Ravens. Watch this dime from, well, not a dime, but incredible catch there. You see the back of that jersey? Devin Duvernay. My man Devin Duvernay on the Baltimore Ravens is an absolute stud, man. He's got 4.4 speed. The guy is incredibly elusive. He's been doing nothing but ascending in that offense, and I am super excited to be able to get some exposure to him. I like the matchup week 1. They're playing the Jets, so they get the Jets matchup week 1. We talked about before last year when they lost to the Raiders in overtime by a touchdown in overtime. Before that, they won the previous opening game for the previous 5 years in a row. And Devin Duvernay's got 4.39 speed. Talk about Marquise Brown going to the Arizona Cardinals. He had 145 targets last year from Lamar Jackson. This year, he's not there. Devin Duvernay should step up, absorb a lot of those targets. Not saying all of them. Of course, Mark Andrews is still going to get a lot of those targets. Rashad Bateman's very good, going to get a lot of those targets. I think, what's his name? Prochet. James Prochet, I think is his last name. James Prochet is having a pretty good camp. But he's not as explosive or as fast as Devin Duvernay. With a 4.39 speed, they drafted Duvernay in the 3rd round. Duvernay had a massive target share at Texas. He also dominated pretty well. And right now, the cards are just super cheap for Duvernay. So as a guy I want to get exposure to, I mean, this one already ended for $3, Steve. Rookie ticket auto that ended for $3 for $4.25. The shipping was more than the card. So I think we're going to see Duvernay, a guy going from a special teamer and a guy that only had 2 touchdowns last year, even though one of them was a one-handed touchdown, Steve, that looked incredible, to a guy going to 70, 80 targets with close to 1,000 receiving yards. I think we're going to see that kind of jump in Duvernay this year. What say you?
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that a guy like him doesn't need 100 reception volume to be mega productive. You know, you get a guy like him that's a special teams punt returner, kick returner. You put him into open space, and some big things are going to happen. So you don't need him to be a volume hog to be effective. And what drives the market from position players, and that's big plays. So I think that he's a really good breakout candidate, and I think you can see some busted coverages with his speed. Now he did the touchdown you did show was against his own secondary, so let's at least point out that it is the Ravens secondary. But shots fired. But anyway, I do think that he can have some big play potential, and at the prices on a lot of his stuff right now, it seems like a no nonsense play, honestly.
Yeah, and I didn't spell his name, Rashad. So I want to pull up Rashad Bateman because absolutely, yeah, Rashad Bateman's going to be the wide receiver one on this offense. And you could actually argue some of these auctions that ended yesterday, freaking Monday, guys. I'm telling you, Monday is the day to snipe cards and auction to get those undervalued deals. I think $22.50, under $30 for Rashad Bateman rookie ticket auto is undervalued. Like we talked about, Lamar Jackson is undervalued. But if you really want to get in on the basement dirt floor entry-level price point that literally has no downside, get in on Devin Duvernay because he's another guy that I think is going to absolutely ascend this year. And like I just showed you, you can get his rookie ticket autos for under $10. Absolutely incredible. And this permeates across his other rookie cards as well. And I just think he's got the ability to absolutely break out. We saw how much Lamar Jackson liked to target Marquise Brown last year, 2020, 2019. So, we could see this connection with Devin Duvernay start as early as week 1. I'm not saying that it's going to be more like if you compare it to the Bengals, right? Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. You want to invest in both those guys. Now, I know this is a run-heavy attack with the Baltimore Ravens, but like you said, you just mentioned a comment about their secondary being weak. That's going to force them into more shootouts, having to throw the ball more. So if they face more competent quarterbacks, then they're absolutely going to be forced to throw the ball more, and Duvernay is going to be out there in all 3 wide receiver sets. And that's what I'm looking for. And now all of a sudden, we've got chemistry, we've got rapport. Duvernay's got the athletic ability to convert that into potentially double-digit touchdowns and close to 100 targets this year. That could lead to a massive appreciation for a team that's expected to bounce back, expected to be right there in the thick of it for potentially, winning the AFC North. Now, right, the Bengals are going to be clear front runners in that race, but and the Browns are going to get Deshaun Watson back after week 6 now. So I get it. But I think from a super deep sleeper standpoint, Devin Duvernay is my favorite athlete from that division right now.
And like you said, we always talk about getting in before everyone else does. There's definitely some attention being shifted to him. But clearly there's not, not everyone's on that hype train yet. And that's kind of where you want to be, right? You want just enough motivation to invest in a guy, and you want to get in before everyone else does, because then you don't want to be buying in once the prices are all the way up.
Yeah, man, that's key. You don't want to be buying in once the prices have already jumped to that next tier or next couple tiers, depending on how significant the breakout is and how much the team is winning. There's a nice little rookie ticket auto to watch. That's Optic ending Thursday night. All right, Steve. So now we're moving on. We talked about the AFC East earlier whenever I was fumbling through the live stream. The Dolphins came up in the conversation. Who are we looking at here from the AFC East?
Well, that was a little bit of a tougher one for me, but I had a few that I wanted to talk about. But since the gentleman was in the news today, I decided to go with someone that just got mentioned in the chat, and that's Nico Collins.
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, you're talking about the AFC South. So, no, you're right. No, we're supposed to be on the AFC South. I got to follow the show sheet, man.
I'm going down the sheet here, Andy. I'm going down the sheet.
Yeah, no, you did right, man. So appreciate you guys. If you guys are enjoying the live stream, make sure to hit that like button. You like how I asked for a live button after we just stumbled there, but I felt like the timing was right. Appreciate you guys. So no, yeah, we are supposed to be on the AFC South. So go ahead, Steve. You were about to say Nico Collins on the Houston Texans.
I mean, dare I say you heard it here first, but you probably did, because we've been talking about this guy since like the middle of last year, and way before anyone on the Ravens, we were talking about the general, Mr. Mills, and Nico Collins, and they went from guys that nobody would touch to now people are throwing a lot of money at them, and now you're seeing camp mentions every day about Nico Collins, and Nico Collins is a big dude. He is 6'4". And let me just read you a little something from today's news. Team reporter writes, Nico Collins has been making plays and is a mismatch in training camp. Davis Mills praised his receiver, saying, I don't think there's many people out here who can stop him. That's kind of what you want to hear about your receiver, I would say.
Absolutely, man. Nico Collins, dude, he reminds me of like a Rashad Bateman. Just, dude, big body receiver, can play X, and that's going to complement Brandon Cooks a lot. We also know the Houston Texans are going to have to throw the ball at an ungodly rate if they want to stay competitive, because they've got more holes in their defense than the Titanic. I just think that Davis Mills he can sling it, man. They're excited. The whole team is believing in Davis Mills. He's a gunslinger. He's going to emerge as the general this year. He's had nothing but good things to say about Nico. As you can see, Nico's been climbing up fantasy draft boards now, especially that John Mechie, bless his heart, is missing the season with leukemia treatment. Maybe never play again, guys, if he doesn't recover from that. But he's a young, strong dude, so hopefully he does. So say some prayers for John Mechie. But Nico Collins, it's wheels up for him this year. You shared an auction with me before the stream. This is purely, would you say, Steve, a production-driven investment, right? Like, you're not predicting the Texans to win the AFC South, are you?
No, and that's the thing, is nobody that's investing in any Houston players is predicting them to have a winning record, for that matter. But surely just on the prospect that these guys are young and have a lot of potential, that makes them a great investment. And I love these optics, and I think the optic hollows this year look really nice.
I think they're gorgeous, and great call out here from Sean. So many guys want to buy Davis Mills right now. Personally, he would be selling. I would be too, but if you already have Davis Mills, you've already invested in him, why not stack him with some very underpriced Nico Collins? Because Nico Collins has the potential to go out and put up a wide receiver one season with potentially over 1,000 receiving yards and over 100 targets. That's in his range of outcomes. Nico Collins was absolutely done dirty in college as part of the Harbaugh system there in Michigan. So he didn't really get the proper opportunity that he's deserved. Like you talked about, he's got an incredible wingspan, incredible speed, height adjusted speed score, and then 90th percentile, 6'4", 215. I mean, dude, that reminds me a lot of Mike Evans. Like, I mean, we could be looking at a massive second-year breakout here from this young man. And what you're showing me right now, this auction ending tomorrow at 10:12, which is a fantastic time to snipe.
That's why I picked.
Potentially get deals. Thank you, Buse Cards, for this auction. Little competition on Nico Collins right now. I'm loving it. On card auto. I'm glad Optic kept that in there. In the set for 2021. This card is fantastic. Probably, serial number 22 out of 50. Woo, son, $20. What would your max bid be on that, Steve?
Probably in the 30 to 33 range, somewhere in there. Now, I think it's going to go well over that, but here's the thing is he's not a secret anymore. And there's definitely still some great buys on him, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and people are starting to buy, especially on his higher end stuff. Yeah. But I think it's important to note, like, a lot of what we talk about, like Sean kind of nailed it on the head. So a lot of these guys we talk about, like when we talk about them early on, that's like usually the time you want to get in, right? Because like we're talking about him now, there's still plenty of room for his cards to grow. But if you got in on him 6 months ago, I mean, you're raking right now, right? You're at the blackjack table, you're hitting ace 10 every hand. So, there's still investment opportunities for him. And you could argue that he's a little bit of a safer play now than he was 4, 5, 6 months ago. But at the same time, small risk, high reward when you get in early on a guy whose cards are in the, single digit range or single dollar range even.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. Very true. All right. So actually, in fact, I get the AFC East. Aha. You guys want me to talk about somebody on the Dolphins. But in fact, I just want to invest in a good player, kind of like Steve is doing here. And I want to invest in, from the AFC East, Elijah Moore on the New York Jets. Why? Because he is another second-year player that's a freaking really good athlete that is already trending to be the wide receiver one. I know they just drafted Garrett Wilson, but Elijah Moore has progressed so much from year one to year two. And this was a kid that was absolutely dominant at Ole Miss in college. Comes with good draft capital. And if you look at Matt Harmon's reception perception, go to receptionperception.com. Elijah Moore has one of the best win rates against man coverage in the league last year. They struggled with rookie quarterback, first-year coaches in Robert Saleh and Matt LaFleur. Now you bring in additional weapons, maybe take some heat off Elijah Moore. You bring back Corey Davis, add in a really good running back in Breece Hall. The offensive line is now above average as well. I'm a big Elijah Moore believer. I watched him get open at a very high rate. He's been doing it all training camps thus far. All the beat reporters are projecting him to be the number one. And like we talked about, they play Baltimore Ravens week 1. That's going to be a shootout game for the Jets all day because you want to attack Baltimore's weakness, attack that secondary. So Zach Wilson, it's time to step up. And if he does, Elijah Moore is going to be the main benefactor, Steve.
I know a lot of people were disagreeing with us about that week 1 matchup, but I think it's juicy. I think it's going to be like a higher scoring game than most people are thinking it's going to be. And I was pretty big on him. He's one of the few guys from the Jets I've bought this offseason quite a bit. And, one of the cool things about him and some of the other guys we've talked about tonight is there's a lot of green parallels. There's a lot of sets have green parallels. And if you're looking for color match, look no further. Purple and green are very common parallel colors.
That's a cool looking guard, man. Joker colors. This reminds me of the Joker from Batman.
And, even though the optic's out, Andy, don't forget that the optic preview, which came out of the Donruss boxes, is a thing. And there is a green variety as well.
Optic preview, yeah, those are going to be even more rare than the optics. But, man, I'm really loving this optic. Ooh, here we go, guys. All right. Optic contenders, rookie ticket auto, ending in an hour, on-card autograph. Right now, we're talking very, very cheap. Only $10.50, 10 bids. That is an on-card autograph. I got to like Elijah Moore's signature, too. I know he's got a few different variations, but at least you can clearly see that's an E Moore. So I'm digging the Elijah Moore autographs. And, yeah, man, that's my play this week from the AFC East. Steve, final division, who you got? AFC West.
I got to go with Russ.
AFC West. Oh, going with the going back to the Denver Broncos now and going with Russell Wilson. All right, man, you're riding that quarterback train tonight, but it makes sense, man. It's a good for a good reason. They drive the market. I totally get it. They're the focal point of every single offense, and they're the focal point of the hobby. And Russell Wilson is undervalued, Steve. That's a great pick, man.
That was a big driving factor, and I did have some other guys in mind too. You could go back to the well on Derek Carr easily, or even a few other guys in this division, positional players. But Russ is still just really undervalued, and you're talking about a guy that has nothing but weapons around him now. Unfortunately, he did lose one of his main weapons today for the season. Tim Patrick, who I was really excited about, did have an ACL tear in practice. Kind of sad, but I will say that I am a big KJ Hamler fan, and I've bought a lot of nice KJ Hamler cards this offseason. So if you've been buying Hamler before the hype, I think there's some good things coming your way. But Russ, I mean, he's just got so much talent around him. He's got 2 amazing running backs. He's got a team that's built to win right now. And when you're talking about QB values, there's a strong correlation with winning. and that team is definitely built to win.
The team is definitely built to win. I got to watch Russ live here in Tampa a couple years ago, and he absolutely can throw the ball like just as good as anybody I've ever seen. His deep ball is just gorgeous, man. I'm not gonna lie. He's also got incredible accuracy, virtually all sectors of the field. Now he does like to throw to the outside more often than the interior of the field. He prefers the throwing to the outside, looking at a heat map of where he throws the ball most. So I think that just based off of that, the consensus is that Cortland Sutton is going to have a better season than Jerry Jeudy. Obviously, Tim Patrick was in that conversation as he almost hit 1,000 receiving yards last year, and he had so few rookie cards. People were excited. I know there's some people out there that invested in Tim Patrick, and unfortunately, he's out for the season. But, Steve, I'm looking at Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy's proven to be extremely versatile. We know he's an incredible route runner. If these guys can stay healthy as well, Russell Wilson, let him cook. You got an incredible run game with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. Steve, Russell Wilson, let's look at this Denver Broncos schedule. But, I mean, I think it's I think it's one of the more solid investments, especially we talk about that week 1 game. Talk about a revenge game. They're playing the Seahawks in prime time. Week 1, I think, is Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you want to talk about a narrative that's going to bring a lot of eyes. That's definitely one that'll do that. And yeah, it's in Seattle, but I mean, he's played. That's almost like a home game for him, right? In a way, he's been playing there for so long. I think it's going to be really interesting. Now, Seattle's defense is by no means anything remotely close to what it used to be. You know, I could see this being just an embarrassment. I could see Seattle getting trounced upon in this game.
Yeah, 52-week high here is not 5,100. That's an anomaly, probably like an autograph or something down. But that was the peak. Like his PSA 10 base prism, base photo variation, towel down, was at $1,000 at the beginning of last season before he got injured and the Seahawks season totally unraveled. Now it's at 489 or 418. Definitely some value there. Performance is going to level this card value out. I cannot fathom a scenario where they do not absolutely destroy the Seahawks in week 1 on Monday Night Football, and Russell Wilson has at least 2 to 3 passing touchdowns, which I think in turn, because of that primetime scenario, because of the win, the performance, I think you're absolutely going to see an immediate demand spike. And then who do they get the next week? The Houston Texans at home in Denver. Give it to me all day long. And then who's the next week? Another primetime game. So the Broncos here go potentially 3-0. San Francisco is going to be the hardest of those 3. But by that time, they get a third home game coming off a full head of steam, look likely 2-0. And they're going up against a rookie, Trey Lance. I know there's some Trey Lance believers out there. But, guys, I've already seen him throw a bunch of picks in training camp, and I know that defense is good. I know the San Fran defense is really good. But I got to think that the Broncos get this one done as well here at home against San Fran. That puts them 3-0. We saw what happened to every single 3-0 quarterback last year. Their cards literally doubled in value in those first 3 weeks. After those first 3 weeks of going 3-0. Some of them went more than double just based on where they started at, like Sam Darnold. But, you know, a guy like Russell Wilson here, we just see him get back to what they were at, you know, heading into the season last year.
Yeah, and don't forget that his record last year, or it's not just his record, but his stats last year were just bad. And I commented on his performance. I got to go back to the to some of the other players we were talking about earlier, and I just don't think that he wanted to play. It didn't seem like he wanted to play. He didn't look like the same guy anymore. You know, and people were saying that he was done or whatever the case is. But like you can kind of tell when people are demoralized, and it made sense. You know, he's got a different change of scenery. He's got some new weapons to throw to. You know, he had great weapons there, but he's got great weapons here. So I think the difference is he has a running game. He has a defense. You know, he's poised to win games, and he doesn't have to do it by himself.
That's it, man. That's it. So that's the show, guys. We went around the league. I got a few comments here that I've starred throughout the live stream. I'm going to try and scroll. Shout out to all you guys. JJ Bama, how you doing, man? Long time no see in the chat. Glad to have you out there. Ramrod, Shant, Derek, all you guys. You guys have kept the chat on absolute fire this year. Halo's got a question here. This is in pertains to our last CSG group submission. Man, I got to be honest with you. They've marked it received. They've had it now for over 2 weeks, I would imagine. So I'm expecting it to come back here any week now. I have to check on that after the live stream. But I did get a notice that they marked it received, and that was probably 2 weeks ago. So I would imagine that we're any time now we're going to get word on when that is coming back. That's exciting. Yeah, no, definitely a lot of skill position guys in here. Victor. Talked about that. Jimmy G earlier. This was earlier. Launched 69-yard bond from unclip. Oh, okay. Got me there, Jimmy. Derek would be proud of you. Brady was throwing out that snipe earlier. Yep, we touched on that. Mark Speltz. New offensive-minded coach, improved OL, all the offensive weapons that QB could ask for. No pressure, Kirk, but it's all up to you now. That's it, man. It's all on Kirk this year. It's make or break season for Kirk Cousins. Absolutely. Appreciate that comment, Mark. That was some great insight. James said 2021 contenders optic, Rondale Moore. Yeah, look at that. Throwing up a little snipe there in the chat. I think we talked about Ken's question there. Yeah, appreciate you, Derek, throwing up some 2023 targets. Awesome. We talked about Bowman U and JJ Bama. Tua, buy or sell? For me, Steve, he's a sell heading into the season. What about you?
Yeah, I think that at this point for me, he's probably a hold or a sell. His values have gone up so much from where they were a few months ago before the trade. So I think that for most people, it's a sell just because you've probably seen 2-3x already. And I'm not greedy, and you shouldn't be either. So, but there is the chance to hold that maybe he can eclipse his expectations right now. And he's got that fat optic hollow for sale. I'm sure that there's some takers out there.
But see, you make a good point. Like, I've got this listed for 200, and I've got offers on it at 150 that I just have not accepted because I think I get 200 for it. Now, I will take 200, but I'm going to roll the dice and see if I can get 200 and not settle for 150.
And, here's the thing is, if you were buying in when no one else was, right, and you got that
that's right.
$60.
I'm in on this for $60 actually.
Okay. So see, that was a good guess. If you got that for $60, you can be a little bit greedy, right? Because if you don't get the 200 you're asking for and he just underwhelms, right? You'll probably still get $60 for it. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's a good point. At the end, at the worst comes to worst, I'll break even on the card, and I'm sure I'll end up, I'll take. But I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities for him this year. New coaching. Tyreek Hill, arguably one of the best weapons in the league. Let's see what he can do. The Patriots week 1. Let's go. Patriots at home. No excuses. To another right into the fire right off the bat in week 1. I love how the NFL structured this schedule this year. Talk about a hype, just a total hype fest week 1, man. It's going to be nuts. So
I think the Patriots defense is, especially the secondary, is going to be roast, toast, crispy this year.
All right. Now, at this point, we're about to sign off, guys, but I'd said to Steve, if we had over 50 people in the live stream, right now we're at 48, that we would close this down and do a underdog best ball draft live right now. Do a draft. You guys want to do a draft with us? Let us know. Put it in the chat. Best ball, underdog, something. If you want to go, Ken, we can, if we have enough of us, we could do a private 12-man best ball league. If not, the underdogs got their puppy 3 open. It's a $5 entry. You can draft with me, with Steve, in the same draft room, but still have a chance to win potentially $200,000 first place prize. So let's do it. We're getting a lot of draft. I already got Derek. Derek's done over it's like 700 underdog baseball drafts. He wants to draft. I say we do it. So what we're going to do, give us about 5 minutes and then pop back over to Football Card Quest. We'll be live again. We'll be talking more players analysis, but we want to end this stream right here. And then we're going to spin up, however you want to say that, another live stream and do an underdog best ball draft. At that point, then I'll post the invite link to the best ball draft in the Discord server first, if you're in that, and then I'll post it in the YouTube channel. Let's go. All right, Steve, sound like a plan?
I'm in, man. Let's go.
All right, guys. We'll see you in a few. Peace.